For the first time, the U.S. is calling the Golan Heights, quote, Israeli controlled. Now, that is new language used by the State Department in its annual report on human rights. It's no small change. For decades, the U.S. called the strategic mountain range Israeli occupied after Israel captured it from Syria during the 1967 Six-Day War. The U.S. considered it disputed territory to be resolved in peace talks, but it now sounds like the U.S. sees it more firmly in the hands of Jerusalem. Israel extended its legal authority over the Golan Heights in 1981, a move rejected by the U.S. and the international community. The U.S. officials are insisting that calling the Golan Israeli-controlled does not reflect a change in U.S. policy. To drill down more on this, I'm joined in the studio by our senior Middle East reporter, Mohammed Al-Qassem. But let's cross live first to our diplomatic reporter in Jerusalem, Mike Wagenheim. Hi, Mike. Good to see you. U.S. officials here are insisting that the policy on the Golan has not changed, but that brings up the question of why then change the language at all?
Jordana, there's policy and then there are facts on the ground, and things can change even though the official policy isn't put out by the State Department. A word here, a building there, depending on the situation, that changes facts in and of itself. You don't need a memorandum coming from the State Department. You don't need Donald Trump to get in front of a podium and make an official proclamation. This is definitely a change in policy. There's no doubt about it. The State Department can dance around it all at once, but the very fact that that wording changed in a region where the State Department knows that wording means everything and every word matters, they thought about it, they thought it through. This is the change they made, and it has consequences, and they know that. They're not fooling anyone when they make changes like that.
Right. So the U.S. State Department basically just trying to ease their way around something that's really changing. Mohammed, we heard there was one leaked report that the U.S. Ambassador David Friedman actually had one of his underlings with a red pen going through last year's report, taking out every reference to occupied. It was already dropped considerably in last year's report in connection with the West Bank, but this time with the Golan. What are the Palestinians saying?
Well, they're not very happy with it, and I think, and I do believe that the Palestinians in Ramallah are thinking right now that this is the prelude to what could be the deal of the century, what it would bring. Let's look at what Hanan Ashrawi, an executive member of the Palestine Liberation Organization, said today in response. She said that this report intended to whitewash the Israeli occupation and excuse human rights violations against Palestinian people. Dr. Saib Urakat, chief Palestinian negotiator, saying that the U.S. is taking the side of Israel and is definitely no longer, again, an honest broker in this conflict. This is troubling news because Palestinians believe that this is the beginning of changing many facts on the ground, starting with the language, starting with using the word control rather than occupied. They're very troubling for the Palestinians as well as for the Syrian government.